Kenya has agreed to officially reopen its border points with Somalia in Mandera, Lamu and Garissa in the coming 90 days. The move is announced by the Interior Commissioner, Professor Kithure Kindiki, and his Somalia counterpart, Mohamed Ahmed Sheikh, after a high-level consultation in Nairobi, effectively ends a 12-year barricade that began in 2011 when Kenya was launching Operation Linda Nchi to fight the influx of Al-Shabaab fighters into the country.
According to Professor Kindiki, the first border to open is the Bulahawa in Mandera in 30 days, followed by Liboy, Mandera also in 60 days, and Ras Kamboni, Lamu in 90 days. Now, joining us this morning from Ukambani region, Kenya, is journalist Kithure Mutua. Good morning, thanks for your time, and thanks for joining us. Can you hear us?
Good morning.
Okay, brilliant. I want to just ask, first of all, the reason that the borders were closed in 2011 was mostly because of the Al-Shabaab fighters and, trying to stop their influx and to stop their growth. Has that been sorted out enough for these borders to be open? Because it's been more than 10 years.
Yeah, the situation has improved in Somalia. When you look at how it was 13 or 12 years ago, actually this decision was taken when Kenya Defense Forces began that operation to secure the Kenyan border. And they actually went into Somalia to fight the terror group Al-Shabaab. And now we've seen in recent times, the Somali government has sort of stabilized. We have some border there, and they're actually more involved in fighting Al-Shabaab than they were 10 years ago. So the situation has improved.
All right, this is not the first time that we've heard that the border will be reopened. I think a similar announcement was made sometime last year. Can you guarantee that for real this is happening this time? And also, why is it important that this border be opened?
It is really, really important. And first, last week, there was a launch of a project that is funded by the British government to the tune of 12 million US dollars. The government of Kenya, the government of Somalia, and the government of Ethiopia, they are working together to secure that border and to deal with the root causes of insecurity in that area. You realize that the border, the Horn of Africa has for many, many decades been ravaged by droughts, insecurity. So the conflicts basically arise out of fighting for resources. And these are largely pastoralists. So grass, pasture and water, that is the root causes. And now they escalate to terrorism. And that's why the British government, in conjunction with the Kenya, Somalia, and Ethiopia, are working together to first deal with the issues on the ground, so before reopening the border. And now, what we are seeing, and the reason why this is important is because basically, insecurity hinders development in that area. There is no education going on. Children are actually learning to use guns more than instead of books and pens. Teachers have fled schools. Schools have been closed. There is no infrastructure there. So this project is going to deal with those issues first, so that the communities living there can be assured of their livelihoods. Children can go back to school. Schools can be reopened and rebuilt. Yeah, that is what is happening.
All right.
So other than the border being opened, we are seeing another parallel program to guarantee security by giving these communities a livelihood.
Yeah, which is obviously going to be very beneficial for them. Trade and just opening up a better relationship between these communities. But I want to ask there's people who do not agree that this was in any way beneficial to both countries. And I'm going to share something from MP Yusuf Hassan. He says the closure of the Kenya-Somalia border stands out as one of the most detrimental and ill-advised decisions made by any government. The decision, considering the fact that we share a long and porous border, exposes the fallacy that the closure was in any way beneficial to our national security. Instead, it resulted in destruction of livelihoods, significant loss of tax revenue for the government, and criminalization of trade and traffic across our border with Somalia. It says it's truly shocking that it's taken 12 years to rectify the grave mistake. So I want you to quickly respond to that. MP Yusuf Hassan doesn't agree that this has been in any way beneficial, including even with security, because the borders are really porous.
To some extent, yes. To understand the situation at the border of Kenya and Somalia, the Kenyan North is made up of the people who live there are the same Somali clans and people of Somali descent who are Somali nationals. I mean, the border is just a line that separates the same communities living across the two countries. You understand? So the Somalis in Kenya are brothers and sisters of Somalis in Somalia. And now there's been a lot of shifting security policies. I mean, a decision was made just in the previous administration of President Uhuru Kenyatta to actually build a wall in the 800-kilometer borderline. And that the new administration now are saying it's going to tear down that wall. So there has been a reading over time of what is the best strategy to deal with insecurity at that border, and specifically, how do Kenya guard itself from attacks from the Al-Shabaab terror network? Recently we've seen Kenya arresting a lot of many Al-Shabaab suspects fleeing the fighting, the crackdown by the Somali government inside Somalia. So what MP Yusuf is saying, to some extent, he has a point, and that's why these are the reasons that are informing the decision by the Kenyan government to against Somalia, and now take a decision to reopen the border.
All right, so many angles to this conversation. The two ministers have said that they hope that this would help sharing cross-border intelligence, trade, movement, mobility, and the likes. We hope that this is for the good of the people of Kenya and Somalia, but we, of course, will be following up with the story. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.